is. So yeah, like you said, my name is Shelby Thomason. I am a National Park Service Ranger here at Fire Island National Seashore. I'm not sure if you guys have the ability to raise your hands, like the raise hand feature, but if you want to use the raise hand feature to let me know if you've ever been here before, that'd be cool, or any national park in general before. All right, I see Maureen's hand. Dale. Awesome. It's really exciting. Yeah, a lot of people, when they get off the ferry here at Fire Island at Sailor's Haven, they're usually really surprised to see a park ranger. A lot of people don't realize that this is a national park, and we have 423 in the country. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to work this slideshow. Okay, we have 423 in the whole country. So national parks just kind of have different names based on what the main feature of them is. So a national park is something, think of like Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon. It's just like there's wildlife and there's mountains and there's rivers. Here it's a national seashore. So our main thing that we're protecting and the main reason we're established is because of the seashore. We have national lake shores on the Great Lakes. We have national battlefields and historic sites. So everything kind of falls into a category, and some of those bigger parks you've heard of kind of fall into a lot of categories. So the National Park Service emblem that we have on our shirts, this is called the Arrowhead, and this really just encapsulates everything that the Park Service is here to protect. So we'll start with the bison. That just represents all of our iconic wildlife. So all of our animals are protected in some way or another. So even here at Fire Island, if you can fish, but you still need permits. And then most of our animals, you cannot hunt in a lot of national parks. Here we have our giant sequoia tree and our grasses and the forest. This represents all of the plant life that the Park Service protects. Even grass is so important. So we protect a lot of our beach grass here. And then we have the giant sequoia, which is the largest tree in the world. It's a lot of fun. We have the mountains. Those represent mountains, but also they represent beauty. So natural beauty vistas that are unimpaired by, man-made things, like a grocery store, right, smack dab in the middle of an awesome viewpoint. We have the water in the bottom corner, or the mid-bottom corner. So that represents clean waterways, but also represents all the fun you can have in national parks, all the recreation opportunities that are offered, usually in the form of hiking, but we have a lot of boating here, swimming, camping, all the fun stuff. And then we also have the shape of the arrowhead, and this represents all of the human history that the Park Service protects. So we have a lot of indigenous history here, so that's why it's the shape of an arrowhead. And then, like I said, we have parks dedicated to battlefields. On Long Island, we have Sagamore Hill, so that's Teddy Roosevelt's house. That's also a national park site. So lots of different things we're protecting here. But I'm going to go ahead and move forward and show you where Fire Island National Seashore is, off the coast of Long Island, and another close-up of it. So this is our official park map. So here you'll see all of these communities. So the island has 17 different communities. We are kind of split up into a lot of parts. So where you see like the green, that's park property. So it is pretty fragmented, but overall Fire Island is 32 miles long and typically about less than a quarter mile wide, except once you get into the dunes or in the wilderness, then it's closer to a mile wide. So it is a very, very long and skinny island. Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. These controls are a little wonky. And here's a nice aerial shot. So here's the Lighthouse, and this is the start of the first community furthest to the west, which is Kismet. So if you came to visit, you might be familiar with some of the communities here on the island. So the cross section of the island is what makes it pretty special in a lot of ways. So we have our lovely Atlantic Ocean right here, and then we have this primary dune. So this is where you're gonna find that iconic beach grass. It's pretty, what's the word I wanna say? It's not boring, but it's very unassuming. It's just there and it's lovely, and it is the most important plant that we have here. It has these really long sticky roots that spread out like tendrils, and they shoot up new plants through rhizomes, so they do not rely on seeds, fruit, flowers. They are just able to spread pretty pervasively. So these roots will anchor down the sand, so you can kind of see those roots going on that top layer of sand. This keeps the dune from eroding away, and once this dune gets built up, it creates a nice swale. So this is the depression on the other side of the dune, and it allows a more diverse group of plants to live. So when the ocean waves are crashing and it's windy and maybe there's a storm, salt spray is coming off the ocean and inland, and it'll kill the leaves on the plants. So these dunes, both of them, protect a lot of land so that we can have more plants growing that otherwise wouldn't be able to grow by the ocean. And it creates, I'm sorry. So we have the primary dune. So it's the first one with the beach grass, and we have the swale. So it's more like a desert ecosystem, but more plants than the first area. And then we're able to have places like the sunken forest. So this is the result of two dunes side by side that allow this fragile ecosystem of just normal trees to grow. So these are the trees you'll find on Long Island. They're not specially adapted to the ocean spray, but due to their protection, they're able to grow. And you'll see on the top of these trees, when the wind blows that ocean spray, it kind of makes a sheer cut across everything. So anything that's shorter than the dunes is able to survive pretty well. And I'm actually gonna go back and highlight that. So like the ocean will blow straight across here, if you can see my mouse. And then it like prunes the tops of the trees. And then elsewhere on the island, this is Watch Hill. So you can get to Watch Hill through the Patchogue Ferry. They have a wonderful salt marsh. It is just a fantastic ecosystem. It's great for fish to hatch. So it's a safe place for a lot of spawning. And because of these places, these communities especially, and Fire Island visitors really pushed for the Park Service to protect it. So we have our lovely I Want to Fire Island National Seashore sticker, very iconic. And then a bill by Otis Pike was signed to designate Fire Island National Seashore as a national seashore to be protected by the park. The wilderness here is named after him. It is the smallest wilderness protected by the National Park Service, and it's the only designated wilderness in the entire state, which is kind of cool. A lot of people ask how Fire Island got its name. There are three main stories. I'm going to start with my favorite one first because I think it's a lot of fun. Basically, so back way in the old days, before there was ever a lighthouse here even, people would put bonfires on either side of an inlet to signify that it's safe for ships to pass through, and then get to the New York City harbors. Well, there were some land pirates or wreckers, and what they would do is they would put fires just on the beach to trick people into floating their boat, sailing their boat, and crashing onto shore, and then they will steal all of the boat's contents. So Fire Island. Another likely Reason why it got its name is because poison ivy turns bright, bright red in the fall, and it looks like the whole island is on fire because we are in fact completely covered with poison ivy. So that's the plant you see in this picture here. And then probably the most likely reason why it's named Fire Island is because of potentially sloppy handwriting and a misunderstanding. So the Dutch were the first Europeans to really be, exploring this area. And then on a map, they wrote either 5 or 4 islands. One of those are very similar to, they're very similar to each other. And then they both look like the word fire, maybe if you write it down fast enough. So that is likely why we got our name. So some places that you can also see here is the Fire Island Lighthouse. This one you can actually reach by car. So a lot of the island you can't get to unless you take a ferry. So to get here, you would be going towards Robert Moses State Park. We have the original Fresnel lens, which is pretty special. A lot of lighthouses don't have that. And basically it is just like the tried and true technology for getting beams of light to go out pretty far to see. Some other places you can go is Barrett Beach or Talisman. So that's going to be east of the Fire Island Pines. Watch Hill. So that's where that salt marsh is. The boardwalk trail is lovely. I highly recommend it in the spring and fall. Right now, the mosquitoes are out in force. So here you get the saltwater mosquitoes, but every time it rains, you also get the freshwater mosquitoes. So we have double mosquitoes here. Wilderness, I'm gonna go back once. Watch Hill, that's again the Patchogue Ferry. And then the Wilderness Visitor Center, you can reach by car. So you would go as if you're going to Smith Point. And then you can check out their visitor center there. They have a museum with whale bones, and the Wilderness Beach is phenomenal. It's otherworldly, and you can see the breach that was created because of Hurricane Sandy. So the breach has actually been really cool. It's had a really awesome effect on the bay. Basically, this ocean water is coming in and just really cleaning everything out. It's cooling the bay water. A lot of fish have returned. Just cleaner. It's really cool. The breach is also closing up. So slowly but surely it is getting smaller and smaller every day. And here is a nice aerial view of what happens. So if you ever make it out to the breach, which I recommend, you're going to see a lot of birds out on these sandbars, eating all of the delicious fish that live there. We are also home to the William Floyd Estate. So this is that historical aspect that I mentioned that the Park Service protects. William Floyd is one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and I believe the only signer that was here in New York. So we currently are not doing house tours, but once we fix up the roof, I believe they will resume, like when renovations are complete. So definitely contact the park if you're interested in house tours in the future, and they should be able to help you out with those answers. And then when you're here, a lot of people ask, what can they see? What is there to do? So obviously we have the beach to go to. So there's a lot of exploring, a lot of beach combing to be done. So we'll start with our beautiful sands. So the sand here is pretty cool. We get 3 different kinds of sand typically. So we get regular quartz sand, which is just normal beach sand. It's white. We get this purple sand a lot of people ask about. This is actually garnet. So you guys might know that garnet is the state gemstone for New York, and we do have garnet mines up north in the Adirondacks. But what happened was the glaciers, when they scraped through, come from the north or going south, they will grind up some of that garnet and deposit it as sand here on our beaches. So this sand is just a remnant of the glaciers. It is heavier, so it erodes at different rates. So it creates these bands, whereas the wind is carrying away a lot of that white sand. Beachcombing is a pretty popular activity here. Most national parks, you can't really take anything, not even rocks. But here we do allow picking up seashells and rocks and sand. If you find anything that, is like an endangered animal, like if you find a sea turtle or a dolphin or anything like that, definitely contact the park. So we're just talking normal beach things that you can collect. I've got quite a few plants. So if you decide to come visit and you want to go see the sunken forest at Sailor's Haven, you're going to run into a wide variety of plants. We have grapes and sassafras and holly. We have bayberries. Foraging is permitted. So if that's something you're interested in, please check in with a ranger and they will help you out with that. But if you are ever foraging, exploring, sniffing plants, be careful because like I said, we have a ton of poison ivy. The poison ivy here grows in several forms. So it can grow just as an herb. So normal poison ivy that you see in this picture is a little more herbaceous. Sometimes it grows in a vine up the tree, and sometimes it literally grows in tree form, like bushes and small trees, which is pretty shocking to see. We have lots of cute animals. So Fire Island does have a lot of foxes that they're pretty famous for. I feel like they're super cute, always hanging out on the beach. Lots and lots of deer. Right now you can see a lot of fawns. So most of them were born this past week or two. We have the famous eastern box turtle. This turtle, has been pretty threatened in the East. It likes Fire Island a lot because we're not really driving cars. So if you ever see a box turtle on the road, please don't hit it. And if you can safely, definitely try to remove it from the road and put it in the same direction it was going. They're really cool because their shells, they can retract their head like most turtles can, but they actually have a hinge where they can close their shell off completely and it creates a box. A historical remnant from the Floyd family would be box turtles that his son-in-law had collected and notched into their shells. So he wanted to study how long they lived. And pretty recently, someone did find a turtle shell that was notched. It was over 120 years old. So those were done by him. Definitely do not notch turtle shells on your own. It's not a great thing that anyone should really be doing. But it's really cool to see how ecology has been done all through the past. Fire Island has lots of lovely birds. Oops, I'm so sorry. My screen is crazy right now. So we have our beautiful warblers, nice and yellow. You'll hear them singing if you are going through the sunken forest. And we have the famed piping plovers that you guys may have heard of. They're all the rage right now because their chicks are hatching. This has been a very successful year for the piping plovers. We have lots of nests. If you ever come visit and you're walking along the beach and you see like cages, like big round cages in the dunes, those are exclosures. So we are keeping the predators out of the nests. That's not very typical of the National Park Service. Like we love all of our animals, but nature needs to take its course sometimes and things get eaten. But the piping plovers are so endangered that we will expose their nests from the predators like foxes and raccoons and birds, just to give them a chance. They're very sensitive to development and their numbers have gone down just because of habitat destruction. If you ever come out here, you will probably see them peeping and dashing around on the beach. They look like little cotton balls with really cute legs. And then these are their eggs. So if you're here during plover nesting, you're going to see that there is a roped off area for the dunes, and that is because their eggs are like this in the sand and very, very easy to step on. But they're pretty neat. We'll have Sanderlings. These are a lot more common. These are the birds that will run back and forth with the water. They're tons of fun to watch. They're always eating the little water bugs. And we have lots of marine mammals. So you might see some seals in the winter time. So sometimes we do get stranded animals, but in the winter time, a lot of seals will come out just to rest on the beach, which is pretty cool to see. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of dolphins. So the other day, I saw easily like 50 dolphins over the course of an hour, a massive pod right in front of where we were sitting. And these dolphins are here because we have so many more bait fish. So there have been just amendments to how fish like bunker are being caught and net usage. And so their populations rebounded, and now we have lots and lots of dolphins hanging out, and whales as well. And then you might see our horseshoe crab. So right now we're wrapping up mating season for the horseshoe crabs. So you're not going to see them in the evenings. You'll see thousands sometimes on the bayside spawning. You won't see that right now, but you will start seeing the little babies scurrying around, which is pretty adorable. And you might see a horseshoe crab flipped over looking like this on your adventures. Feel free to give them a hand if you feel comfortable with it. We just ask that you don't pick it up by its tail or the back part of it. That's called its hinge, because it will detach and it really needs that part. Because it needs it to help flip over, other times it gets flipped. So always just pick up from the edges and send it on its way. It will thank you. And they're also pretty cool because they are pretty unchanged. They are an estimated 300 million years old, so they predate dinosaurs. So they look like living fossils. They aren't crabs, they are actually arachnids. And I always like to compare them to Roombas. So they kind of just look like Roombas on the ocean floor eating things. Their mouth is really, really funny. It's just like on the inside of all of its legs. And then finally, things to do. So you get here to Fire Island. Obviously, you can hang out on the beach, but what else could we do here? The first one, and one of my favorite ones, is making art. We have a lot of people that come and paint. Our visitor centers, we offer watercolors to loan out that you bring back at the end of the day if you want to try your hand at painting in nature. We have fishing here, so all you have to do is get your saltwater fishing license and then know the regulations on what you can keep. We have surf fishing too, so in the bay and also in the ocean. We're very popular for boating, so if you have a boat, you might be familiar with our marina, and people also will hang out in the bay as well. You can camp. So if you were interested in camping on the beach, I can give you more information, but it's going to be at recreation.gov. That's going to be in the wilderness area of the park. So not just anywhere on the beach, just a very specific area of land. And that is pretty much all I have for you, my little dolphin. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and you can put it in the chat or raise your hand. You're welcome. Here. So for permits for camping. And we also have like houses that you can rent here. Those are all on recreation.gov. And our website is nps.gov/FIIS. So feel free to go to those websites.